Good morning. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding the second reading of portion of Vayikra, which is on the book of Leviticus, chapter 1, verse number 14. If his sacrifice is from a bird, a burnt offering, Hashem to God, then he brings from the doves of Bnei Yaina, or for the young doves, as karbana, his sacrifice. Now she says, Mina'if, when it says Mina'if from the bird, then it has to be not all birds, but like Kalaif, not all birds. Because since it's written an unblemished male, from the cattle, from the sheep, from the goats, denoting that requirements perfection of male and maleness apply only to animals, but the requirements of perfection and maleness is not acquired to birds. One might think that that even a bird that lacks a limb may be brought as a carbon. So therefore, the Torah tells us from the birds, not all birds, only a bird that is not lacking a limb. To what is turtle doves is gedolim. They are considered because specific young doves, with simply turtle doves without stating young, must refers to adult ones, not young ones. Bnei Yaina is a young dove. When you say minatayim, from the turtle doves, when you say from, it comes to exclude something. It excludes birds whose feathers have just begun to become reddish in both species, that they are unfit to sacrifice, for they are too old to be qualified as young doves, and they are too young to be qualified as our turtle doves. I'm not a bird zoologist, so I don't know exactly what that time is. The kohen will bring this bird to the mizbeach. Malak he'll nip the head. This is an interesting thing. Shchita was done from the back of the head by a bird. V'hikta mizbecha, he puts it, smokes it, he burns it on the altar. V'nimtzas dam mizbeach, and he sprinkles the blood upon the walls of the altar. Now she says, "Afilu b'deida achas yavi." He may bring even a single bird. Umalak, the nipping of the bird's head must not be done with anything, but with the body of the kohen. He didn't even use a knife. He would cut with his thumbnail. This is an interesting thing, adjacent to the back of the head, cutting right through the spine until he reached the simonim, the signs of where the trachea, first to the gullet, and the trachea, the windpipe. So this was a very hard shchita for the kohen, whoever was doing the shchita of this bird. V'nimtza damai, v'ud v'nimtza, and his expression is pressing of mitz, and from milking hametz, having come to an end, he pressed the slaughtered area of the bird's neck against the wall of the altar, and thereby the blood is pressed and runs out down the wall. Umalak v'hikte v'nimtza, all these expressions, according to the sequence of these terms, one would think that the Torah is commanding that the kohen first cut the bird's neck, send the bird up in smoke, and then press the blood. But you can't do that once you burn the bird. But it's impossible to suggest this, since the kohen already caused the bird to go up in smoke. How does he give out the blood? Rather, the meaning is clearly not so. And so the procedure. I'm sorry, a second. So the procedure. Rather, the meaning is clear, not so causing the bird to go up, just teach us that just as the procedure of causing up to go smoke, the bird's head is smoked separately and the body separately. So that with the procedure of nipping of the bird's head, the head was cut at the neck. It became virtually separate from the body. And even though it was still attached to the body a little bit by the skin, according to the simple meaning of the verse, it's transposed and it's understood. The nipping of the neck caused it to go up to smoke on the altar, and the bird's blood shall already be pressed on the altar. And shall remove its crop from its entails. And you should throw that near the altar, Kedma, on the east side of the altar, to the place where the ashes were put. Now she says, this is the place of the food waste. Minitsasa. Tsasa's entails the word noitza denotes something disgusting, because the noitza was foul and it had some sort of very foul smell to it. The Kohen removed the gizzard with it, but our rabbis of blessed memory understand noitza means feathers. Explain the verse as follows: with the knife, he cut an opening around the crop like a window and takes it together with its feathers that are of the skin. In the case of a burnt offering of the animal which eats exclusive from feeding through the owner, it says, and in the innards and the legs he shall wash with water and cause to go up and smoke. However, regarding birds which feed themselves on things stolen from people's property, the verse says he shall remove the crop. You don't bring the certain birds were brought up totally on the Mizbeach, and certain birds you had to take away his innards, because all his innards, his food that he ate, was stolen. Al-Makam Adeshen, the place which each morning they would deposit the ashes, removed from the outer altar, and the ashes removed from the inner altar and the menorah, and these were miraculously absorbed in the ground. Verse 17. V'shisa is oisa b'kanafa, and he shall split it. He shall split it by with its wings feathers. Layavdil, it's intact, but he shall not tear it separately apart. V'ikter isa kain mizbech, and the kain will bring it up on the mizbech. Ala eitzim, on the wood. Ashel ala eish, which is on the fire. Oilahu, it's a burnt offering. Ishay reach nechayach l'Hashem, it's a beautiful smell to God. She says that the way he did it, Shisa refers to splitting open. The way he did it with his hands. Didn't use a knife. The Knafav, with its wings, he need not pluck out its feathers. The Knafav, Rasha's Neitza Mamish, its wings. Here it refers to actual feathers of the wings. But surely you'll not find even as simplest people, even a person who is not particular, who when smelling the odor of burnt feathers does not find it repulsive. Why does the Torah command us to send up with the feathers smoke? The feathers are left intact, so that the altar should appear satiated, adorned with the sacrifice of a poor man. The Eibusha says, it's worth it for me to put, because a bird was usually bought by a poor person. To take away, imagine if you take away everything from this bird, it's going to look even more poorer. So the Eibusha, God did not want to embarrass a poor man. Chapter 2, verse number 1. The carbon mincha, if a man will bring a carbon mincha or mincha meal offering. His offering shall be of fine flour. And he shall pour oil over it. And he should put frankincense over it. Now she says, you find an interesting expression over here, the word nefesh. Nefesh, the soul that brings a saka. Who usually brought a meal offering was again a poor man, a person that had no money to bring an animal, not even a bird. So he brought flour. The Torah says nefesh. The Holy One, blessed be, he says, I count of him as if he brought his soul. Because when it's all he has is this flour. If a person says, I hereby take upon myself to bring a meal offering, without specifying any type of meal offering, then he shall bring mincha soilis, a meal offering of fine flour, which is the first meal offering mentioned in the chapter, the Gemara. Kaimitz, a fistful of that offering is scooped out while it's still in the fine flour, as explained in the passage. Since 5 kinds of meal offerings are enumerated here. There's 5 different kinds of meal offerings, minchas, that are mentioned here, all of which had to be brought ready baked before the kemitzah. Kemitzah is when they scooped it out. The kohen scooped out part of it, which is the exception of this one. This one, the mincha of this mincha, the nefesh kisakriv, was the flour was actually taken out, not after it was baked, but before it was. If so, first you take out the kamatz, you take out the scoopful of flour, then the yotzak. But first of all, soiles is ein soiles menachitim. Soiles flour means from the wheat, fine flour of wheat. No meal offering consists less than a sod in 1/10 of an ephah, 1/10 of the measure for meal offering, implying that 1/10 measure shall be used for each meal offering. V'yatzal hashemen, he pours oil al kula over all the flour. V'nasan alel avoina, and he shall put frankincense upon it. The kohen places a fistful of frankincense upon it in one side of the offering. Now, what makes you say so? Because an inclusion, after the inclusion of the Torah, means only to exclude. Now here it says Allah upon it. You put the frankincense upon it. In inclusive nature. For assuming meaning upon all of it. Meaning the kohen shall put the oil over all the offering, and in continuation of the verse, he shall place the frankincense Allah above all of it. However, in the second mention of the word Allah represents a ribui after ribui, Allah. So 2 ribuis, 2 pluses make 1 minus. The second Allah becomes preclusive, meaning the frankincense is to be placed only on part of the offering. So that's it. So the frankincense, which we know the frankincense, and it made a practical way, because the frankincense had to be taken off of the mincha before it was burnt. We took it off before it was eaten. So you had to take off the frankincense. If you put it all over, it would be hard to take off the frankincense. The hard to take off this levina. So therefore, it was put on a certain area, one part of the mincha. That's the simple way. The oil is poured. Another explanation: oil is poured over all of it because the oil had to be mixed, scooped out with it. As it says, scooped out a fistful of fine flour with oil. However, the frankincense, because it was neither mixed nor scooped out with it, and it says in addition to all of the frankincense, for after he's completed the kemitzah procedure, he collects all the frankincense from the meal offering, and he makes it go up in smoke. So therefore, the frankincense, the levina, was put on the side, on one part of the mincha. Yotzak v'nosan v'hevi, he shall pour, he shall place, and he shall bring. Ashi asked, because what does the Torah come to teach us? Because the scripture, Torah mentions pouring of the oil before the individual bringing it to the kohen. This teaches us that the pouring, the mixing, and the performing, all these are allowed to do by non-kohen. And concerning the mixing, it's because in verse 5 and 6, Torah states the meal offering mixed with oil before the pouring procedure to take place. Thus, if the pouring may be performed by a non-kohen, then the mixing which precedes the pouring may be performed also by a non-kohen. The kemitzah had to be done, as you see the next verse. The kemitzah, the taking part of the mincha of this meal offering, had to be done by the kohen. Then you bring this mincha to add in the kohen. The kamatz misham malei kamtzei, and he scoops out a fistful of fine flour, misalto mishamna, from its flour and from its oil, al kol levainasa, in addition to all the frankincense. He takes that, he burns the kemitzah with oil and the flour and all the frankincense. He takes it to the mizbeach and he puts it on the mizbeach. It's a fine smelling to God. Now she says, from the kemitzah, from the scooping procedure and onwards, it was exclusively the kohen who did it. The kamatz misham, From where? From the place where the feet of the non-Kohen was standing. This teaches us that the scooping may be performed any place within the courtyard of the Holy Temple, even within the 11 cubits of the courtyard ground, which ordinary Jews stood. Malay Kamtsai, one might think that the fistful may be full of to overflowing, bursting through his first fist and coming out of every side. The Torah therefore states in another passage, and from it he shall lift up with his fist, meaning only that which is contained in his fist is valid to be burnt. But since we know that the amount shall be only what is contained in his fist, one might suggest that it means that less than a fistful. Therefore, the Torah writes, therefore the Torah says, Mali, full. It shall be full fist. How does the Kohen scoop out exactly a fistful? Not more, not less. He covers the palm of his hand with his 3 fingers. These 3 fingers. The 3 middle fingers. He keeps the 2 other fingers separate. And then with the remaining thumb and above the finger below, he levels off. So he would take a fistful and then make sure, clean off whatever is left with his thumb and his pinky. And that's whatever his 3 fingers got in his hand, that was a fistful. This is the nation of Kemitza, a fistful. In the Hebrew language, while the other language of fistful, something might be 4 fingers. But in the Torah, a fistful is 3 fingers. In Kol Lavena, in addition to all the frankincense, the fist shall be full. Lavena v'hikter, Rashi says the frankincense is also burnt. Malay kamtsa mesalta meshvalne, if he scoops and the grain of the salt or partial frankincense went into his fistful is unfit. He only had to have in his fist only silas and shemen. Askarasa, now she says the fistful offered in the Most High, fistful is offered to the Mizbeach, is a reminder of the meal offering because it's through it the owner who brought the sacrifice is remembered for good, causing God's intent. Verse 3, the rest over of the mincha. Aaron Levana shall be to Aaron and his sons, Kodesh Kadashim. This mincha is a holy of holies, Me'isha Hashem. It's for the burnt offering to God. Now she says, why does it say Aaron Levana? We could have said the Kehanim. Why does it say Aaron? The Kohen Gadol, signified by Aaron, takes his portion. The Kohen Gadol always had the power to take what he wanted, and the remaining of the meal offering first, without having to take part in equal division. So the Kohen Gadol took what he wanted, but after this, the ordinary Kohen takes his equal share. So what happened is they used to divide the mincha, whoever was part of the service, but the Kohen Gadol took whatever he wanted first, if he wanted. Kodesh Kadashim, this is holy of holies. This is for the Kohen. Meisha Hashem. Now it says they may take a share of only after the offering of the fire. It had to be a carbon. They couldn't take the mincha before it was brought as a carbon mincha. After mixing the flour and mix the oil on 11 wafers, anointed them. And if he brings in a meal offering of in an oven, this is the next kind of a mincha. Seilas, chalas, matzes, belula bashemen. It shall be consist of unleavened, made of fine flour, mixed with oil. The kiki matzes or unleavened wafers, anointed meshuchim bashemen, anointed with oil. Now she says, namely, if a person said, I hereby take upon myself to bring a meal offering baked in an oven. Torah teaches that they bring either loaves or wafers. The loaves are to be mixed with oil, with olive oil, while the wafers are to be anointed with olive oil. That's the difference between wafers and cake and matzahs. Everything was matzah. It was like a matzah, the mincha was like a thick matzah. It was like a lafa, but it was pesach. Like it was. Some people today make matzahs like lafas, but that you have to know how to do it. Most of us have a matzah that's very thin and burnt. So, but that's the way it was done in the Beis Hamikdash. Lecha Panim also was matzahs. Everything was not chametz. It was all pesodik. The rabbis differed regarding the anointing procedure of these chalas, these chalas or the kiki. They talk about the kiki, the wafers. Some say that it must be anointed. One must anoint them and again anoint them until all the oil of the lug, a value of a liquid, had been used up for all meal offerings requiring a lug each. Others say that the oil was smeared on the wafer like a Greek shape of a Hebrew nun, Greek chaf. And while remaining oil was eaten separately by the Kehanim. Now the verse says here, mixed with oil, anointed with oil. What does the repetition of oil come to teach us? Teaches that from all meal offerings, the oil used needed not only from the initial intact of the olives, but may also be for the second and third extract of the olives. The only case where the initial extract oil was required is in the menorah. So that's why the Torah keeps on telling us oil, to tell us that basically, whether it was a first press, second press, third press, they're all well used for the mincha. The mincha does not need to be used shemen, zayis, zach. The only thing that needs to have be used shemen, zayis, zach is the menorah. Verse 5, if your meal offering is a pan, on the pan, there was different ways to make a mincha. In the oven, that was the previous verse. Now you make a mincha in a pan. Is a sacrifice. Soiles belula bashemen shall be made of fine flour. Matzah tia, it has to be all matzahs. Everything cannot be leavened. Now she says in mincha machvas, once I hereby take upon myself to bring a mincha machvas, a pan meal offering. Machvas was a vessel in the holy temple in which certain meal offerings were baked in oil upon the fire. This vessel is not deep, but shallow, like a pan. And therefore, meal offerings made in it were hard. For since the pan was shallow, the oil spread thin, and consequently, the fire consumed the oil, causing the product to become hard, like a real matzah. All meal offerings require the three applications of oil: yitzika, pouring, belila, mixing, and placing the oil in the vessel before the preparation. So 3 times oil you had to have in this mincha. Soiles belula b'Hashem, she says. This teaches us that they must mix them while they're still fine flour. That's the first thing. You got to mix it with oil, and thereby, and not mix the oil while it's already in the fried cakes. Verse 6: Then you break it into pieces after it comes out of the pan. It's hard. It's like a matzah. To break it into pieces, you can't do a kmitzvah out of a matzah. It has to be broken. And then you pour oil again over these pieces. Mincha this is called a minchas machvas, a mincha from a pan. Now she says the clause of the end of the verse, it's a meal offering, appears superfluous. However, it comes to include the meal offering baked before the kmitza procedure, to have the kmitza performed, breaking them into pieces. That's how you did the kmitza, by breaking with a hard matzah before, after it became baked already. You had to first break that matzah, and then make a kmitza. Yitzak al Hashem and mincha. Actually, this includes all meal offerings for yitzika, pouring of oil. One might think that applies only to meal offering baked in the oven. Therefore, the Torah says you shall pour aleha over it, but not over that baked in the oven. Perhaps you would include chava, loaven, oven-baked offerings also, while not excluding the kicking wafers, oven-baked meal offerings. Therefore, the Torah says he needed to have both cases of loaves and wafers and oven-baked offering excluded for the yitzika from this. So only this one that came out of a pan, you need to do yitzika to pour oil over it after you broke the pieces into pieces, poured oil over it. Okay, that concludes the Chumash for today. Now I go to the Tanya of the day. We continue, my friends, in the 36th chapter of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe introduced us to one of the most deepest concepts in Kabbalah and Chassidus, the concept of Seder Shtalshlus, the concept of the descent of the worlds. And the Alter Rebbe said that the truth is, by the Eibishter, there's no concept of descent. By God, there's no concept of above and below. There's no concept of higher and lower. By the Eibishter, the above and the below are equal. By the Eibishter, Ani Hashem Lo Nisi, that's why I'm an above, I'm below. The difference is we get to us. To us, there's a concept of above and below. But the truth is, there's no concept of Kedusha above and below. So to us, it's the concept also of revelation and less revelation. Where God is revealed more is above. Where God is revealed less is below. So since it's but the order of Ishtalshus, a question arises. Does its ultimate purpose lie in the higher world, where godness is revealed to a greater degree, while the lower world serves only to emphasize the revelation found in those higher than them, since the light is distinguishable only where darkness exists? Or on the contrary, does the purpose lie in the lower realm? What's greater? Where is the purpose of the world? Is the purpose in the higher worlds where there's greater revelation? Or is the purpose in the lower world, in this Dira B'Tachtainim, in this lower world where there's darkness, where we can distinguish the concept of light? Because there is darkness. And therefore, in a little revelation that it reveals in this world, is it greater? Is that the purpose? Is the purpose greater revelation, or is the purpose lesser revelation in the darker world? Obviously, concealment of godliness is not an end to itself. Thus, if we assume the second position, it follows that these lower realms were created so that darkness pervading them be transformed into light. The statement that God desired, the Alter Rebbe goes back to the original statement he started in this chapter, that God desired an abode in the lower realm, shows that the latter position to be a true one. And the abode is built by the revelation of his presence in this lowest world to a degree surpassing even the highest worlds. Thus, in brief, this is in brief the subject of the following paragraph in the text that the Alter Rebbe is going to say now. So the Alter Rebbe says, the purpose of Seder Ishtalshus, the purposes of this descent. Why did God descend from level to hid himself, so to say, create the concept of these shields that create a concept of Dira B'Tachtainim, that they create a concept of degree going lower and lower, descent of the worlds. And the descent from level to level is not for the sake of the higher worlds. Why would God make a descent in spirituality for the higher worlds? No reason for it. Because for them it constitutes the descent of the light of his countenance. So why would God do that? The word olam in Hebrew means concealment. Thus, even the highest world constitutes, by the very existence, a descent from the pervading level of godliness that preceded their creation. It is illogical then to say that revelation, which these higher worlds represent, in the purpose of Ishtalshus, since their revelation is actually a concealment. And the ultimate purpose of creation lies in revelation, not in concealment. So what's the purpose? So actually, they have no purpose in itself, because they are concealment. So therefore, in essence, all these worlds, all these upper worlds, are really have no purpose but the concept of this world, because this world is only a world of revelation. There cannot be any more concealment than this world. So this is the lowest world. That's why it says in Kabbalah, this is the lowest world. Because if this wasn't the lowest world, then this world would also be a world of concealment. This world is the lowest world, where it is only going up. There's only revelation in this world. The whole purpose of this world is revelation. There's no lower than this world. That's why it's called Dira B'Tachtainim. That God wanted to dwell in the lowest worlds, because this world is only about revelation. The upper world is only about concealment. This world is only about revelation. Every act I do, I have revelation. Every act I do, I bring about revelation. I can't go lower. And therefore, if you understand the concept of Dira B'Tachtainim, if you understand the Sava HaKadosh Baruch Hu Liyas Dira B'Tachtainim, that's the statement. The Eibishter had a desire to dwell in this lower world. Why? Because this is the only world where he can dwell. In the upper world, he's concealed. He only can dwell in this lower world. It's hard to say the word he only. God can do whatever he wants. I'm talking Megay to us, concerning us, the way we need to look at the concept of Dira B'Tachtainim. In this world, in the Tachtan, where there's no other lower world than this, this is the lowest world, then this is the world that only can have the concept of going up of revelation. There's no going lower than this world. There's no worse than this world. And therefore, this is the ultimate world. This is the world that can have the concept of true revelation. That's what the Alter Rebbe continues. Rather, the purpose, so therefore, the whole concealment is for revelation. All concealments, which even the world of Atzilus is concealed to God. So the world of Atzilus is concealment in comparison to Eir and Seif. The world of Bria is again concealment in comparison to the infinite light of God. The world of Yetzirah is concealment. The world of Bria is concealment. This world is a world of revelation. That's why the Eibishter created this world. The Eibishter created, that's what the Zohar meant. The Eibishter created this world for the only reeling of revelation. There's no other purpose in this world but revelation. And that's why you understand, if you learn Gemara, Torah lo b'shamayim. Torah lo b'shamayim. Torah was not given for the heavens. The Torah was given for Hayrah, for revelation. Therefore, there's no place for the Torah really, but in this world. There's no place for Torah. There's no place for mitzvahs, but in this world. Because this world is the world of revelation. This world is where God goes, God reveals himself. It's not a world, the whole concealment was made that we should reveal. And the more we reveal, the greater it is, even though there is there might be more revelation actually in the upper worlds, but that revelation is concealment. This revelation that we reveal in this world is so high that we cannot see it. That's why you cannot see it. That you cannot see is shows on the greatness of the revelation. In Mitzvah Hashem, Mashiach come, when Ruach HaTuma Avim and Aretz, they're able to take away impurity from the world, which means I will be able to see with my own eyes the godliness. I'll be able to see what happens with each mitzvah that I do. Right now it's happening, but it's so great. I'm so low because it's so great that I cannot see the revelation. But trust me, the Eibishter says, every mitzvah you do, that's why he's saying in Pirkei Avos, that the Eibishter, that the Pirkei Avos says, one mitzvah is greater in this world than all the life in the world to come. Because one mitzvah in this world that you do is Gilui Elokus, whether you see it or not. Dira B'Tachtainim, when I do a mitzvah in this world, I bring the Eibishter to the world, which cannot be revealed in the world of Atzilus. So I put on a tefillin today. I brought godliness to the world even higher than the light in the world of Atzilus. Because the light in the world of Atzilus is concealment. The tefillin that I put on today, the tzedakah that I gave today, the learning that I'm learning today, I brought the Eibishter to the world. The problem is I don't see it. And the reason I don't see it is because the light is so great. I can't see it at this present time. I can't see it. Mit Hashem, Mashiach will come. The Meiri b'yameinu mamish, and Layehudim Ma'asaida, we will see it. We'll see the Oir. We'll see the Oir Hashem. We'll see the greatness of this light. We'll see every mitzvah, how every mitzvah I did. Pashid brought down a Gila Lakus in this world. Unbelievable light. Adira b'tachteinim, the Eibush Pashid came down. As the Alter Rebbe said, the Gemara says, the Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibush doesn't have a place in the world, but Yidden sitting and learning together. So when we sit and learn together, we Pasha bring the Eibush to the world. Not in a concealed way, in a revealed way. To me, it's still concealed. I can see it because I push it such a high light, I can't see it. All higher worlds are merely a step in the descent of the divine creative power. In each of them, the light is veiled yet further until it finally reduced to a minimum degree of revelation that this physical world is capable of receiving. Because the purpose of Seder Shestalshus, Lias Nachas Ruach Lefanav, you should realize that you're in Pasha Vayikra, you're going to hear the Eibush to keep on saying, Nachas Ruach Reach Nechoyach LaHashem. By a Karbonis. Now she keeps on saying, Nachas Ruach Lefanai, it's a great pleasure, Shamaiti V'Nasir Etzaini, that I said and you're doing it. I know that you don't see it. If we saw revelation, we would have to, God would have to convince us to do it. We would run to do it. But the Eibush just says something, we do it. We don't see this revelation. At least me, I don't see this revelation. Maybe you do. But I don't see this revelation. But you know what? I do it because God said to do it. And the Eibush says it's a nachas ruach. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says over here. The Eibush thought that way. You should put on tefillin. The Eibush said you should keep kosher. God said you should keep Shabbos. God said you should put on tefillin, etc., etc. When you subject yourself to when you subject the evil and you reveal light. That the place of darkness, of Sitra Achra, prevailing throughout the world, the Ein Sof light of God will shine forth. Infinity will shine forth. And I, Pashut, bring infinity to the world when I do a mitzvah. V'yesa says, V'yesa, as it says, the greatest strength and intensity was the superior quality of light that emerges from darkness. Even when darkness is transformed into light, the resulting light is superior to ordinary light, thus will shine with greater intensity than the radiance of the higher worlds. Because over there it's hidden, and over here it's revealed. In the upper worlds, it shines through garments and through concealments, and the contents, concealments of pneumius, internal aspects of lights were concealed and screened the light, the infinite light of God. That it should not dissolve out of existence. So from where the Ein Sof life is not screened by garments, the world could not bear and would dissolve. Thus, the revelation wrought by subjugation of Klippa in this world is greater than the higher worlds. Where Ein Sof is hidden, we're here in this world. It's revealed with all its strength. It's revealed here with all its strength. When I do a mitzvah, I Pasha bring down the Eibishter to the world. I bring down Ein Sof to the world. It's so high that I cannot see it. But it's right here. Because I did it b'tachtenim. I did a nachas ruach to the Eibishter. I brought a carbon. The Alter Rebbe writes, Adam kiyakim mikem carbon. The whole concept of carbon is really mikem. That I bring my nefesh abahamis. That not that I bring my animalistic soul. And there are different kinds of animal souls. There's animal souls of an ox. There's an animal soul of a goat. There's an animal soul of sheep. Different kinds of a nefesh abahamis that I have. And what's the point? The point is that I change myself. I elevate the world. I elevate myself. I take my nefesh abahamis, my animalistic soul, and I bring it up as a carbon. That with the Eibush has nachas ruach. That's with ultimately God has nachas ruach. Because the Eibush says it's easy to do, to follow God's will for different reasons, but to change yourself, to bring up your nefesh Bahamas, to change the darkness within yourself. It's not easy. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. That's a hard thing to accomplish. As the Alter Rebbe writes, Zek kol adam. Change yourself. Change yourself. Shait atzmecha. Change yourself. That is the real transformation of Klippa. Is changing of one's nefesh Bahamas, changing of one's nature, becoming more godly. And the Alter Rebbe, beautiful Maimon the Alter Rebbe on this week's Pashi. You should learn it. It's one of the classical Maimonim of the Alter Rebbe. Where the Alter Rebbe explains the whole concept of a carbon to the avodah of every yid in every time, in his situation, and he has to be tamim. You have to first realize you have to take away the negative of oneself, one's ego, one's nefesh abam, and then you have to bring it as a carbon. Bring it as a carbon means that not that you get rid of your nefesh abahamis. You're not a tzaddik. You'll never get rid of your nefesh abahamis, as the Alter Rebbe explains. The point is to use it out to good. Use out everything l'Hashem. To be able to use out everything in Kedusha. That I even take my ego and I use it out for Kedusha. I take all aspects of my evil inclination and I use it out to Kedusha. As you say in the Shema, I love the Eibush not by per se getting rid of my Yetzer Hara, but serving God through my Yetzer Hara. Through my Yetzer Hara. That I know that I have ego, but I use my ego l'shem shamayim. I know I have a negativity. I use it out, this negative, for the concept of positive. I use it all my human nature for the concept of positive. And then the Eibush says, nachas ruach. That's a true nachas ruach to Meibishter. That's a true nachas ruach to God. To be able to do that, to be able to elevate myself, to be able to become Pashut, a holier physical individual, holier person, better person, godlier person. And self-understood, as we stand in the week before Purim, is a happier Jew. And everything has to be done through simcha, through the concept of joy. That I celebrate, I celebrate Yiddishkeit through simcha, through aspect of great joy. Because then when I celebrate through simcha, it affects everything that I do. And everything that I do, because I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm glad. We go from joy to gladness. Not only I'm joyful, but I feel God. That's like God is glad. Nachas ruach. Eibush has a nachas ruach, has a gladness more than joy. He has a gladness. He has a delight. We have to reach up to delight. Simcha and sasain. Reach up from level to level. To realize that in this week's today's Tanya, to realize that what I do is I accomplish more than any other, than all the upper worlds can accomplish. My one mitzvah transforms the world. My one mitzvah that I do transforms this entire world. I do one mitzvah. Hayom Yom today is a beautiful Hayom Yom. It's a statement of the Rebbe Rashab, who said one act is greater than 1,000 groans. One act is greater than 1,000 fetches. So stop fetching, go do one act. It'll be more powerful, be more successful, it'll be more holier. One act than fetching 1,000 fetches. Wish you all a beautiful day. Today is the eighth day of Adar Sheni. The Tillim of the day is chapter 44 to chapter 48. If you do those 5 chapters, you do the chitas of the day. Wish you all a wonderful, happy, and healthy day. And Mitchell will see you all tomorrow. We'll continue the chitas of the day.